Thanks, Mr. Chairman, and let me say to Secretary Donley, this being your last hearing again, as I alluded earlier to you privately, that we thank you for your service, and I particularly do. As you know, I have a major Air Force presence in my state. You have been very open to dialogue with respect to all the issues that we've had with regard to not just the facilities, but with weapon systems and a broader range of issues that we've had to engage on, and your service is very much appreciated, and I also appreciate the friendship that we have shared during your tenure. So your tenure. So we're gonna miss you, but certainly wish you the best. Gentlemen, I want to talk for a minute about Joint STARS. I am very concerned with what I see the direction in which this weapon system is going. The E-8C aircraft is the military's premier and wide area intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance aircraft with ground targeting capability. And Secretary Donley, you and I have talked about this any number of times over, and General Welch, you and I have had this conversation too, that every time I go into theater, which is often, and I mentioned to our combat commanders on the ground the word Joint STARS, their eyes light up because of what this weapon system has done from the standpoint of being able to address the enemy in whatever part of the theater they exist. The President's budget request cuts $10.7 million in R&D funding from the program and recommends the test aircraft, the T-3, be put into what I understand is preservation storage because the developmental program has concluded. However, there are multiple upgrade programs such as the National Guard's multi-agency upgrade that will require flight testing. Now, the Air Force is proposing that in your budget request to place Joint STARS test aircraft into preservation storage, again, due to conclusion of development programs. But the Air National Guard continues to have development programs and modernization efforts funded and planned which will require flight testing. How will the Guard complete flight test requirements for these programs without the T-3? Both the Air Force and the Guard have future plans for additional modernization programs for Joint STARS. How will these programs complete flight test requirements without the T-3? And lastly, what are the costs associated with placing T-3 in preservation storage?
Senator, I'd like to get back to you on the record with a comparison of what is funded in the active Air Force versus what is planned on the Guard side going forward for the E-8.
Okay. Any comments, General Welch?
No, Senator. I don't know the details of the Guard program. I agree with the Secretary. We need to get you the right answer.
Okay. Well, I really am concerned that that this program may be headed towards whatever preservation storage may be, and I am truly concerned about it.
Well, sir, if I might, I would just offer too that this is a concern for us in the sense that we have done an analysis of alternatives that suggests for this set of missions, the ground moving target indicator mission going forward, among a varying levels of options and capabilities, the best solution is probably a business jet type aircraft with a new radar. That was the results of the analysis of alternatives a couple of years ago. The issue for us is that it's not funded. We simply do not have the resources. It's one of several programs where we know pretty much what we want to do. We pretty much understand the requirements, but the dollars are not there to fund those programs going forward. And there's even more pressure on the modernization programs ahead, as I indicated.
No. And in your response to Senator King, you talk about readiness being impacted in a big way, and this is another one of those areas where we're not going to be ready if we don't have the resources under sequestration. Let me move to another issue, G-222. There's a lot of conversation around the Hill these days that the Air Force has a $600 million program of airplanes that we purchased for use in Afghanistan, and that those airplanes are sitting on the ground in Afghanistan not being used now, and that they're going to be chopped up and thrown away versus some other more useful disposition being made. My understanding is that that's not really the case, but I want to give you an opportunity to address that issue, and let's set the record straight with respect to, number one, what are the circumstances surrounding the termination of that contract, and secondly, what's the Air Force's intentions relative to the disposition of those aircraft that are on the ground in Afghanistan today?
Senator, as you suggest, G222 has been a troubled program for the Air Force. This was an early version of the C-27, procured on the used aircraft market to meet an urgent need for the Afghan Air Force. As those aircraft were delivered, they had from the very beginning sustainment problems. First it was propellers. A year later it was supply chain issues. They faced a number of spare parts and performance-related material crises over several years. And again, we, after working with the contractor, simply concluded that this was not recoverable. We were not delivering, the contractor was not delivering the ready aircraft required under the contract. So we have worked with the Afghans. They've identified a C-130-like aircraft as the best option for them going forward. The G222 was always intended as actually a bridge to a future capability, and a cancellation of the G222 program will get us to the C-130-like capability more rapidly. So Secretary Carter and the rest of the defense leadership has us focused on making this transition as quickly and as effectively as we can. We have no plans for the disposition of the G222 at this point. So that there is simply no good option in front of us at this point.
Well, as you proceed down the decision-making process route, I hope you'll keep this committee informed of what you do intend to do there, because obviously that was a lot of money to be spent, and I understand the problems that existed, but we just need to know what's going to happen with the resources that we use there.
We will keep you posted.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.